I'm Samutaro. You might have seen me posting on Instagram. I work in fashion and explore cultural stories to share with my community. Today I'm visiting Vietti in Arona, Italy to find out more about the shop and the beautiful area where they're situated. The territory is both aesthetically and culturally beautiful, so it's an amazing opportunity for me to be able to visit here and immerse myself in the surroundings.
So when I'm thinking about posting, inspiration can really come from anywhere. It could be looking through a store like this, having a conversation with one of my friends, reading a magazine, or scrolling online. The idea is just to sort of find a story or something that interests me and then share that with my audience. I think my Instagram's less about me and myself as a person. It's more about the stories that I share. It's a bit of a rare occasion getting me on camera now, so I really like to focus just on kind of the writing and sharing the images and the stories, whether it's anything like anime to sort of cars or hip hop and the music that I'm into. Doing sort of my posts, I might have an idea in my head, but I always find it interesting to sort of talk to some of the people in my community or my friends. And I find it's important as well to sometimes sort of speak to people who have lived through certain eras as well, because there's certain things that I might write about and that I haven't experienced myself. So it's always good to get a point of view of someone that's actually sort of lived through that. It's really important to sort of like stay in touch with the community, especially on the Instagram page. I get a lot of DMs and I always try and sort of respond to them as much as I can. And I always find that there's a really kind of like keen and curious young audience that are out there. And so I might post about something on my feed, but then the conversation might carry over either into the comments. And I love sort of seeing people sort of have the conversations there and the dialogues that come out of that. It's really interesting to see what kind of like pieces from the post, what really interests them. And also, I often find that I learn a lot from the comment section as well. Some people might know about the topic in a bit more detail than what I've written. So it's always interesting to find like new points of view or bits of information. So coming here in Arona has that kind of like sort of same feeling as me when I sort of like grew up and sort of being in one of these outside cities. And it's amazing that there's a cool kind of like cultural sort of hub here with this store, and especially nowadays with like the internet, and be able to sort of connect with sort of certain brands and be able to come to this store here and sort of see them on display. I think it's really important for people like that to be able to see this sort of type of product. It could just be a young kid that sort of passes by the store and they could see like a capital like skeleton sweater and come in and be like, oh, what is that piece? It looks amazing. And then they can look in the label, find out about the brand, and then go and research it themselves when they get home. There's this new generation now that are really kind of wanting to change the way that they're shopping and not just buy into these sort of fast fashion brands. That there's this real kind of desire to want to sort of do better, and vintage is the easiest way to sort of make the biggest impact in terms of sustainability. Gallery department is like an amazing one who's doing really good things with upcycling. They take vintage Levi's jeans and then rework them into kind of new shapes, give them a completely new sort of identity. And also I think just the idea of buying into brands that have kind of like longevity to them. I mean, when I'm buying into things, I try and buy into things that are less trend driven and more kind of have a seasonless appeal. Brands like Our Legacy are really good for that. Orally, they're really kind of like redefining what luxury is and the idea of changing the kind of face and the image of craft. And that can be sort of like a term of like luxury itself. One of my favourite items that came out during the pandemic was the Marni mohair, and I just absolutely love this item at the moment, especially the kind of tactile sort of effect it has. Kind of like reminds me of the Kurt Cobain ones from the 90s, and also like the type of ones that the Sex Pistols wear with like seditionaries. And Marni have their, Marni on me hashtag, and you can find a lot of people wearing this type of piece, whether it's like kids that are into sort of grunge or rappers are wearing it, and it kind of like crosses over all these different kind of demographics, which is super awesome. And it's cool the fact that they sort of bringing this kind of old type of craft back as well, with these hand knitted type of textures. And I think it's cool that a brand like Marni as well is recognizing a store like Vietti. I love the way that they kind of blended the colours of kind of the landscape here in Arona in terms of like the turquoise, which reflects sort of like the greenery around here and the colour of the lake, and then sort of blending it with the signature Marni style.